Hello everyone, this is Shilpa Sharma, lecturer, HR Department, Cimage Group of Institutions, Patna. In my last video, I discussed about organizational behavior as a subject, the brief introduction of it. In this video, I am going to deal with the elements of organizational behavior. What are these elements of organizational behavior? These elements are actually the key aspects of an organization, an organizational behavior, which work in synchronization with each other. Why I say they work in synchronization is that there is a proper balance that has to be maintained between these four, which I am going to discuss. And if one is not working properly, it is bound to affect the other, and the entire structure of organizational behavior might collapse. So these elements are actually the key aspects of an organization, which also guides the organizational behavior. These elements are: number one, its people; number two, the structure of the organization; number three, the technology being used in the organization or otherwise; and number four, the external environment in which the organization is working. Let's discuss the first of all these four: people. It is very rightly said that the entire system of an organization can be copied but the human resource, which is very, very true. Those organizations which understand this, they are wise enough to treat its people properly, and efficient management of human beings who work as employees in the organization. Now, when we talk about, or when we want to talk about the importance of people as an element in the organization, we see that their behavior can be studied both as an individual and in group, because we work both individually and in group also. Why we study their individual behavior is that two people in an organization cannot have the same individual behavior. They could be different in their perception regarding the same thing. They could be completely different in their learning capabilities. They could be completely different in their attitude. They could be different. There could be a difference in how you motivate one person and not the other in the same way. So likewise, different human resource activities are to be applied wisely only if you understand that there are differences between people. You need to accept them. And we study their behavior in group. Why? Because these days the organizations are functioning in team and group. They focus a lot on group because the projects are not to be done by just one or two persons. And a group can be only as good as its members. That is why, and your association, the kind of person you are as an employee, your association with the group will also affect how the group thinks and how you will think in return. Now, the second element of OB that we discuss here is the structure of the organization. See, the structure is not very hard to understand. Just as we understand that there is a structure in our body that functions in a way, and there is a proper coordination between different structures, different organs that formulate a structure in the body. Similarly, the structure of the entire organization is very, very important, because it is the structure which ensures various things in the organization. For example, the roles and responsibilities that one person is going to have in the organization. The flow of authority and responsibility, the balance between authority and responsibility in the organization is something that will be ensured only by the structure. And hence, consequently, the communication that has to be made in the organization will be defined by its structure. A proper structure, a structure which is a balance between rigidity and flexibility, is in most demand these days, because the outer environment is dynamic. The second thing, that structure, a proper structure of the organization leads to less confusion in the organization. So the flow of work is in a proper way. It ensures efficiency and effectiveness both. I have dealt the difference between these two words in my last video. The third main aspect or the element of OB is technology. This is not very difficult to understand. Technology is something which is very, very necessary in today's time. We cannot imagine an organization working without technology. And why technology is important? Because it affects the company's output, the overall productivity. For example, it affects the cost of productions. When we discuss the economies in scale, technology plays a major role. All the tools, techniques, various resources can be counted under technology. And yes, when we discuss the most important thing in organizational behavior, which is organizational development, the changes when we want in the organization, technology has always been playing a major role in that. The final factor or the final element of organizational behavior is its external environment. We know that organizations these days, they function in an extremely dynamic environment. Something suddenly can be there in the environment. You need to absorb input from it and deliver output to the organization. Corona is one of the good examples that you can take when we try to understand external environment. It was completely beyond the control of any organization, but only those organizations which could cater well to the challenges outside which Corona posed at that time were the only organizations that could survive. Now the external environment, if we just form a keyword easy to remember, that is PESTEL, PESTEL. P for political, E for economical, S for socio-cultural, T for technological, E for again environmental, and L for legal. This PESTEL can be discussed in one separate video because it's a long thing to be explained. But as of now, I would just like to tell you that how these external factors, they affect organizational effectiveness, because it affects people's attitude. It affects because you have to take input from the changed environment and give output to again the changed environment. So you have to absorb this change. This change, however, is not always that easy. So an organization has to be always ready to maintain a balance between these, balance among these four key elements in order to emerge strong. Thank you.